physics, art, and math guide us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive, blending facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Midbridge got the fix. Complex subjects make
right
clear.
now
Every episode
in ways that we actually acquire
Ramana
these
leads the way,
and ways that
explaining
make
day
me
by
more
day.
efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege.
MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Ramana Raju. I'm the host. So, I have a very interesting guest. He's a long-time friend. He's actually truly a brother. I don't have real, not related, but truly brother I can have. He is a super educated. He is an academician. He did a lot of studies in, Louisiana State of Louisiana. He did a lot of research on the cardiology side. He is a cardiologist. And then then after that, he went into the RANA administrative side, one of the largest medical group in the South. I'll let him explain what that group is, but is one of the 40 cardiologists in 13 states. He was running the entire cardiology department there in the United States, in the southern parts, and then also East Coast. Really, the one thing he did was during this time he was exposed, whatever it is, but he is a long-time practitioner of yoga and meditation. He is like you look like almost a guru in appearance, and he has a tremendous the calmness he can give it to you. He's also a kind of a new things because of he saw every kind of pathology from India to in Miami, in other places that he saw Louisiana. He saw all the different kind of pathologies. He has a very good understanding it, and then understanding of prevention. That's what we're going to talk about. Let me bring Dr. Jaligam to the stage. Dr. Jaligam, welcome to the MedBix, sir. Welcome to your brother. That is the really brother, true brother for me.
Thank you for kind.
Yes, sir. Can you give us a little bit about your background, your journey up to this now?
Absolutely. It's an honor to be on your podcast, Ramana, and it's a great opportunity for me to connect with the audience across the world. Yeah, I did my med school in India, then came to Louisiana, did a lot of basic research, then did my residency fellowship, being a staff over there at the university and charity hospitals for 10 years, had a fantastic journey with resident students, fellows, international students, then accidentally stumbled into ChenMed. It's the largest primary care value-based model in the country, and served them for 10 years in multiple roles, as you said, multiple states. It was a great opportunity, great learning for me, both in academics and in the private world, and bringing together, as you said, the Eastern philosophy and Western science, how we can give a better treatment or lifestyle opportunities for our patients, for our community, and to serve in my humble way to help as many people as I can through this platform and through my service directly in touch with the patients. So in this whole journey, Ramana, is like coming from India, learnings from Louisiana, going through national calamities, survival of the fittest, right? I mean, you can't have tunnel vision. You have to have open mind thinking to tailor the opportunities of treatments for our patients, whether it is Asian community or local community here.
Dr. Jaligam,
Back.
we're going to talk about calamities next, but you saw you came from India, you practiced in India, you did some kind of you saw the different pathologies, and then you came to the Louisiana and the city of New Orleans, and then you saw a kind of both is a lot of you saw a lot of people with economically challenged people. You saw that so we have a limited resources they have. How did you? What is the common theme that you came out from all these things?
Great question, Ramana. As you see, coming from a tropical country to the Gulf of Mexico town, poverty is one of the underlying factor, and access to healthy food, access to healthy lifestyle is a common thread I see along my journey from two different nations and two different cities, greatest cities. Those were the two Achilles heel I would call for patients to have best health care or best outcomes.
Let me just come down and talk with. So when you were in let me do that. Yeah. So in the academic background, what kind of research you have done in the most of the research is centered around in what in Louisiana when you were in the university settings?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Louisiana, LSU School of Medicine, it has got a solid research background, medical school attached to that, whether it's neuroscience, cardiovascular science, or any hardcore basic research of gene therapy and stuff like that. So they have even pharmacology, like Dr. Dan Kapusta, very popular in terms of opioid and opioid receptors. LSU gave me a background in terms of how to understand the pathology, me coming from the tropical climate to this climate. The disease patterns are different. The common disease I've seen over there and here was cardiovascular disease. As you know, cardiovascular disease is number one in India, number one in the United States, number one in the world. So when I did my basic research, I was initially interested in lung transplants and eventually moved to heart transplants. But the journey made me understand a lot of things as to what kind of treatment modalities we have and what kind of patient population do we cater for the treatment. Like if you look at New Orleans, heart failure is so common over there. And African-American population over there, probably 50%, I've seen younger patients almost like starting from the age of 20 having coronary artery disease, of having congestive heart failure. And the common thread again was poverty, not having access to good food, or also getting a proper care. So they all used to come to the ER. So research was such a common thing over there with all the calamities. And me doing a few years of research, basic research over there, gave me a broader understanding and opportunities into the field of cardiovascular care. And heart failure is my passion.
You're exposed.
I had some great. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I have some great teachers who taught me.
Yes, I remember that you have a great teachers like Dr. Yugandhar, right? Is one of the common friends, and I met him a couple of times. Doctor, I wanted to ask you, so you did a research side and then you did a practical side. What amount is what is really genetic data, is how important, what compared to the lifestyle? What are those two factors or both? So tell a little bit background about that. Which one playing a major role in the cardiovascular diseases?
Great question, Ramana. I think getting trained in med school and practicing in real world are two different worlds. most of the time people are labeled that, hey, it is genetic, it runs in my family. But remember, genetics are modifiable based on the environment where you are. If I take you and put you in a jungle, your genetics is going to change according to the stress you get from the environment. So I kind of disagree saying that, oh, I have a family history of high blood pressure, I have a family history of high cholesterol. Well, your grandfather must have smoked. Are you smoking? Are you continuing the same lifestyle what your lineage has? So from my experience and from my opinion, lifestyle changes is 90%, and that what determines how long you live, what chronic conditions you develop, what kind of heart disease you develop. And most of the people don't understand, that includes doctors as well, that most of the diseases, chronic care diseases, which happen over a period of time are completely reversible. Or I wouldn't say completely, mostly reversible if you do lifestyle changes. So for me, lifestyle changes is a fundamental foundation for you to improve better health. If you see, United Healthcare cost is $14 trillion. Even if you use a third grader's math, 3 times Russian GDP, and we are 76th healthiest country. It's a no-brainer for me. Everything is done in a wrong way. We are spending too much on one side. In medical school, there is not much training about lifestyle changes. When you tell a patient, hey, you have to follow lifestyle changes, patient doesn't understand. You got to tell them. You got to give them a playbook saying that you have to follow this, then let's evaluate it. I think that's a missing piece here, both in terms of medical school training and practice patterns. If everyone do their job right, I think definitely patients will be in a good place, in a healthier place.
You always prefer prescriptions, prevention over prescriptions. That's your mantra. How do you think that this people behavioral changes is a very complicated one? What do you tell, you involve families and friends, or what are the techniques you use to comply with the doctor's orders, to lifestyle changes particularly?
Great question, Ramana. This I learned from few teachers on my prior practices from different academics and private world. Like, the trust between a physician and a patient is very sacred, and it is crucial. That determines the patient's behavior and also doctors' openness to accept the shortcomings of the patient and their ability to achieve their goals. So doctor-patient relationship is very crucial. Insurance companies cannot control that. Payers like pharmaceutical industries cannot control that. The place where I see patients helpless is food. Food industry is very powerful, right? They will get to eat you fancier, newer foods, which are highly processed, and you're going to pay a price. The simple example I'll give you is like I'm not going to take any fast food names, all this dollar menu food you see every out there, a common man doesn't understand that. For every dollar food they're getting to eat, which leads to obesity and chronic care diseases, we are spending close to $200 on the back end, taxpayers' money, to keep them healthy. It is, I would call it, everything is backward, not forward. It's not progressive, but it's regressive.
I want to make a
that's
point
where I am.
here. Just sorry to disturb. That's a very good point you're making. $1, $200. The policymakers, the people that they must notice this. This is a very important thing. Prevention is an investment for the government to do a lot of these things. That's you well eloquently said that. That is preventing is a much better than processed food, any kind of a natural organic food. The food you eat, that if they can encourage mostly that not a processed food, that they can save a lot of money in the back end. Even that is a lesson for the government, not only for individuals, but the government and the policymakers, the institutions can learn about from there, right?
Yes, that is true. But if you see all the childcare programs in the schools, they have vending machines. And if you look at their cafeteria, there are poor food choices. And it's surprising and unfathomable for me, even in hospitals, they have a McDonald's or some of the fast food center in their cafeterias as well. So the change has to start educating kids, empowering families, and also holding the leaders of the society accountable. Whether it's a hospital, you cannot have a fast food center over there. You got to have healthy choices. But again, I feel like these are like mind games played to the gut bacteria. Like a patient, if I take a cheese pizza in one hand and apple in other hand, and if I go to a what I should say, a high school, if I go to a senior center, if I go to any gathering, people here would choose pizza over an apple. Why is that? Why is the psych like that in the society? Because fruits and vegetables are not considered a normal part of the diet, even though there is little emphasis, but most of it is lost in translation and ignorance. So people try to think that, oh, tasty food is healthy for me. No. The more tastier the food is, the sooner you're going to die. That's my logic.
My daughter told me one time, that used to tell me if I like, she never used to like sushi. And then I took her 7 times. She said she now only likes sushi. She said that, how did you change that? I asked her. She was telling me that if you eat anything 7 times, and the brain thinks that you like it, and you started liking it, create a taste for that food. So it's all that in the mindset, as you say. That's exactly right. It's not a pizza that I like. It's a lot of educational. That's a mind setting is more important in what kind of food you select. Right?
That is true. Definitely, that's where all the food industries play the trick of the things which will go, the molecules which will go and hit that craving centers. And second thing is the gut bacteria in the stomach. I call it as the garden of health. And whatever kind of food you eat, as you said, 7 times, 10 times, the gut bacteria starts to modulate itself and send the signals to the brain like, hey, I'm craving for this, I'm not craving for that. So your taste changes. And that's how most of the food industries play. If I take you into a jungle and leave you there and not give you anything else but whatever is left over there, your gut bacteria is going to change.
Yeah.
The other example I will give you is like people who got gluten sensitivity, who have all kinds of problems here. If you go to Europe and eat a bread over there, they don't have any gluten sensitivity. And I will give you another strange example. Recently in my clinic, my fridge was stopped working and there was bread sitting in there for 1 month. And the bread did not have any mold on it. That is scary.
Even the bugs don't want to eat that. That's a kind of.
So basically, you play gut bacteria, like every organism is smart, has some kind of intelligence. So your gut bacteria plays major role in what you crave, what you don't crave.
Dr. Jaligam, you mentioned just now is that gut bacteria's connection with the brain. So brain means mental health, right? Is all. How is it connected with the mental health and cardiovascular disease, all the other chronic diseases? How they are all connected together? I mean, mental health play a role there. So give us a little bit of background on that one, sir.
That's a beautiful question. It's essentially you're asking me to explain quantum physics in words. Human body is such an amazing thing. If we believe in God or the superpower over there, this is the most sophisticated and a fragile system he has built, which is such a nimble cooperation between a cardiovascular system or autonomic nervous system, as you know, or any other system in the endocrine system. I will give you a simple example. I'll ask you one question. If you see people consume a lot of milk here, the bones are weak, there's highest amount of osteoporosis, there's highest amount of fractures, but there are all these fancy medications to prevent the osteoporosis. But the missing link here is fundamentally vitamin D. And vitamin D comes from zero cost sunlight. When the UV rays hit your skin, you make your vitamin D. Of course, it goes into different phases in the liver and the kidney, so they got different forms. Vitamin D is low in most of the US population, any ethnicity. That is directly, I've seen, related to patients with anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disease, you name it, it is connected.
Even Alzheimer's, they say, yeah.
Alzheimer's too. So again, coming back to that, to the gut bacteria, you need essential amino acids, you need essential vitamins, all these things for the system to function in a synchronizing way, right? You know about autonomic dysfunction. The autonomic dysfunction is a lag between the nervous system and the cardiovascular system. Why did that is the synergy or the synchronization is lost? It is due to some infection or deficiency in something which can lead to that dysfunction. Similarly, chronic diseases, all the osteoarthritis, like people who are depressed have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. Everything is subtly interlinked to each other. This is where I emphasize on back to lifestyle. Diet is 80% for me, exercise is 20% for me.
Let us go back to that. The diet is 80%. Indian Ayurveda says that food as a medicine. Medicine is the food you have to consume like a medicine. It took me a long time to realize that, Dr. Jaligam. But I tell you, that is such a powerful instrument. I eat only one meal a day, but intermittent fasting I do. It is really worked wonders for me. And then it gave me vitamin D. That's really changed my lifestyle, and I felt a lot better with that one. So tell us a little bit about that. Can you expand on that one a little bit?
Absolutely. That's a kind of a discipline, Ramana. That's a great question you asked. People who eat less live longer. And my dad, he always used to say, like, you got to always eat half empty. Your stomach should be half empty,
Right.
not full. And the type of food too, right? I mean, in the past, prior to industrialization, people used to eat butter. People used to eat ghee. And ghee is the master king in Ayurveda and in the Rasayana Shastra, where people used to consume ghee right before they ate a meal. And they used to generally eat 1 to 2 meals a day. The breakfast concept came when General Mills or all this breakfast cereals after industrialization started. Prior to that, people used to eat either brunch or dinner. Done.
With the ghee.
With the ghee, exactly.
Ghee is the saturated fat, they boil the butter into the ghee, right?
Correct.
For Americans who don't know what the ghee is.
Correct. So there is a wrong concept out there saying that saturated fats are bad. People ate this for thousands of years.
Yes.
Right? If saturated fats are really bad, when we are born as a human being, Ramana, 85% of the cholesterol is manufactured by your liver. From the day you're born. Cholesterol is important for hormones. Cholesterol is important for every gland in the body. Every cell in the body needs that fat. So that's where the beauty of science of ancient Ayurveda comes into play. Like, hey, eating butter, eating saturated fat. Again, the word moderation is in vogue these days. Again, nobody's going to eat cups and cups of ghee or butter because your satiety is going to go down as soon as you eat some butter. You're going to eat very limited quantity. And the diet also includes not only fat, some amount of fermented foods, some amount of fruits and nuts and vegetables. Meat is a luxury item. My patients ask me, can I eat meat every day? Sure, you can, but you got to balance it out with colors, greens, fruits, nuts, and vegetables. So the ancient diet, if you take most of the old civilizations or cultures, the food was very rich. It had saturated fat, but all that food was not processed. The key difference between today's food and food 200 years ago was it was not processed. It was more fermented, whether it is cheese, whether it is like in most of the Eastern civilizations, you see kimchi, or you ferment rice and you eat it that the next day. You don't get diabetes with that. You don't get heart disease with that. So basically, inflammation is less when you consume food little, 2 times a day, with some ghee or butter or tallow, whatever we have here in this country, and make it a complete diet. Don't just go to one side. So that's the catch. And second thing, Ramana, sitting down and eating has its own magical portion to it. Because when you sit down, you cut down the circulation, you decrease the circulation towards your legs, and most of the circulation is sent towards your stomach. You digest it very well. People who are not in a rush, you chew the food long time, you enjoy the food, and eating food was over half hour, and in different styles and different religions. Whereas here we sit on a table, our blood is pulled to the legs, we quickly eat, mom and dad push, eat, come on, I'll give you 5 minutes, eat it, gulp it down. There's obesity, there is diabetes, there is metabolic syndrome, huge difference. I think food culturally goes a long way, Ramana, in terms of, as you said, food should be medicine and it should not be an indulgence.
My father he lived 90. After you told me that they started taking actually ghee, my father was taking ghee for 90 years. He died in an accident. In fact, he was taking every day twice that ghee, 2 spoons a day. He was doing exactly what he said. After you told me, it reminded me that I started taking that. Actually, it is really changed. It was a lot of misconceptions there in the public. That I don't know who started it, but there is a lot of misconception. But there is another food item, is a turmeric. Tell us a little bit about that turmeric what kind of a role it plays in the overall food things.
Great question. Since I grew up with the Eastern philosophy, and every food cooked in the house had that yellow color. Turmeric, of course, I had a few gurus too from whom I learned. Turmeric is sacred to us, and also because it has got multifold benefits to the body. There are probably around 150 pathways where it helps the body in terms of suppressing the oncogenes or suppressing the inflammatory things in the body. So turmeric is very good for many diseases on many levels. For rheumatoid arthritis, I'm not going to give advice here for patients what to take, but in general, turmeric with black pepper is a great combination if you want to suppress some chronic diseases. It is not something where you have side effects. If your stomach is sensitive, you don't have to use it, but it's a magical portion I use commonly in my practice. I tell my patients, if you're eating this kind of food, consider this. So turmeric has shown a lot of benefits in chronic care, especially for arthritis patients and people who got simple upper respiratory tract infections, or people who got any kind of oral diseases or skin diseases. It works in a great way, but I always try to combine that with coconut oil. I'm a big fan of coconut oil. Coconut oil has medium chain triglycerides. Body absorbs it very well. And turmeric and black pepper absorption is much better when you have some fatty substance along with that. It is such a common thing in most of our cultures, but people don't understand the importance of it. They call it yellow rice, they call it different names for the turmeric, but absolutely it's something, it's in my medicinal pocket arsenal every day in my practice.
That Jaligam, you lived in the South, and a lot of this, I married a black woman. All the African Americans, there was big challenge in the food changes. They eat a lot of meat and then pork and all those things. Now my son is realized, even my wife, my ex-wife, now she cooks a lot of Indian food and she eats more than I do actually. So what is this? The food as a medicine, how do you transfer that knowledge? You're an evangelist for that, and you're a great evangelist. They're doing a great preaching on that one. But it has to be really a massive way to understand. American public needs to understand. A lot of doctors are understanding. Even the doctors have this lack of understanding about this food. Now they are understanding. Even Dr. Bill Frist is talking about it. Everybody is talking about food as a medicine. This mantra, how do you convey it to your patients, and particularly that patients came from a different cultural backgrounds?
That's a great question, Ramna. And the way I empower my patient is, first I'll assess what is their level of understanding. What I've seen is the level of fear in every patient's mind. Anytime I talk about butter and ghee, everyone says, "Oh, that is bad for heart." I said, "Who told you that? Where did you learn this?" It is imprinted in everyone's mind across civilizations, across countries. If vegetable oil is the best, why is cardiovascular disease number one in the United States and the entire world?
Yeah.
Everyone should sit and ponder and say, I've been using olive oil and I had a heart attack at the age of 50.
Yeah.
My grandfather used ghee. He didn't have a heart attack till 95.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. When the media, when information is creeping into your general knowledge about saturated fats so bad, we need to take a step back and look. I don't give statins to my patients. Anytime I see high level, I recently saw a young kid, 26 years old. He eats 8 eggs a day. He eats coconut oil, everything cooked in coconut oil. His LDL was very high and his HDL was super high. I haven't seen anyone with that high level of good cholesterol. But his small LDL, which causes the heart attacks, was the lowest I've ever seen in my entire life.
Amazing. I think you do. Dr. Jaligam. I think you have so much knowledge, and then a lot of patients love you. That's the reason. You have that not only prevention. Then you can talk about a little bit of yoga and medicine. Let me introduce you. Nazim. Nazim is from she's a good friend of mine, and she's a lot of a lot more education than I have about the healthcare. So if you have any questions, Nazim, you can ask. Dr. Jaligam, he is a really, really authority in this kind of area.
Dr. Jaligam, it was an honor listening to you. I took some notes, and also I wanted to ask you 2 questions, one general question and one a little bit more specific. Is there, first of all, since I have this opportunity of talking to you, is there any advice that is there any missed milestone or anything that we do? You mentioned some of them, but anything that you can give advice so I can, refer to my 84-year-old father and 74-year-old mom. Is there anything that I can let them know in order to change their lifestyle, or anything that help me, have them more in my life?
That's a great question, Naseem. The way I would treat my parents, that's very kind of you, and that shows the affection you have for your parents. It's like I divide food into 2 things: God-made, man-made. Whatever is man-made, you're going to pay a price. Whatever is God-made, you're going to live healthy. So the simple things, depending on the age and everything, try to grow as natural as you can. Don't fear fat, the ghee, the butter, and coconut oil. I would give them without hesitation. Number 1, cook everything in that. The food doesn't get oxidized, the oil doesn't get oxidized, and they will try to reverse the body. Give them local fruits, give them local honey. And turmeric, as Ramana mentioned, if you can't cook it, give them in a capsule form. These are all kind of anti-aging. I kind of think like antioxidant diet, right? If they drink tea, put some cloves in the tea. put some cardamom and cinnamon. These are all natural stuff. And I am big proponent of that. And also ashwagandha, as you try to age, whether it is dementia, whether it is any kind of chronic disease, that's been used for thousands of years, no side effects. Nobody can patent turmeric, nobody can patent ashwagandha. No pharmaceutical industry will do a trial on that because there's no money in it.
Before you go to second question, I wanted to ask you, Doctor. That just I want to mention one thing. You know, Dr. Jaligam, when we were growing up, we all ate only seeds, right? The human seeds or the seed. How the natural food means now they process it, they make it a powder and everything. Is there any difference between these kind of things? I just if we can like turmeric roots, just small pieces, rather than powder, that's kind of thing. Is there any difference there?
Good question, Ramana. My fundamental thought process is everyone wants to make money, whether it is turmeric, whether it is spices. They mix adulteration. There is adulteration in that. So I try to go for a brand which has got more popularity and always look at ingredients. And there are some grandma tricks to identify whether it is a true one or was adulterated as turmeric, because people can add color to that. And same thing with black pepper or cumin seeds or anything. I think there are some techniques. I don't know everything, but I learned from my extended relatives, like, hey, this is how you identify whether it's natural or whether it is adulterated. So that's what I would recommend. But coming back to the question, the same, give them the most natural. You take care of them like your babies. Give them the most natural food, less processed. I said zero processed food. Anytime you buy anything, if you see more than 2 or 3 ingredients, don't give it to them. And go back to 200 years and say, how did my ancestors eat? That's the way I'm going to give them the food.
Amazing. Amazing. That was very helpful. And this is actually something that I try to also, it works for me as well. I try to implement it in my lifestyle. And now it comes to the a little bit more general question is that have you read any books or have you changed any mindset shift or anything that you have done in your life which was phenomenal, as Ramana gave us an introduction, that change your life? Is it any books on the top of your head or any kind of even a mindset shift? And what is the definition of greatness in your opinion? Thank you.
That's a great question. So there are a lot of great people around, great authors, great books. I do have some books in my clinic, and when patients come, I show them those books. I'm not propagating any particular authors. There is a book called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. The diet is very strict. I don't follow that diet, but at least it gives an understanding and how to reverse chronic diseases. He is written by Dr. Dean Ornish, a very famous guy in California. And Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease is written by Dr. Esselstyn. And there's Dr. Greg guy who says How Not to Die. And there are a few books, there are a few big plant-based guys, and I'm not a proponent of plant-based diet. I would say diet should be wholesome diet from dairy or what your body can eat, because according to Ayurveda, the 3 types of bodies, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, right? People who make more mucus, people who are always hot and burning, and people who got a lot of inflammation in the body. So the different kinds, but again, as you said, my aha moments were this. When I read that book of Dr. Esselstyn, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, there was this cardiologist who had 90% disease in one of the main coronaries. And he went on lifestyle changes, and his angiogram 2-3 years later was completely clean. What I'm trying to emphasize here is the creation. If you believe in the creator and the creation, this body is amazing. It has the capacity to reverse most of the stuff. That's why that gentleman got a Nobel Prize for autophagy, the Asian gentleman, right? Autophagy is a known old concept. Again, if you eat 1 meal a day, right, it is not new science. It's like we are trying to reinvent ourselves with a lot of unnecessary research, $1 billion of research. Eat one time a day, half empty stomach, most natural food, include saturated fat in your diet, and try to
Did you
see.
listen that include saturated fat? He said
That's
it's a good idea that
and
I'm doing that actually.
and you have to look at it. Saturated fat is not the direct culprit. It is the inflammation, right? Every processed food you buy, you see safflower oil, canola oil, this oil, that oil. I stay away from all the oils, right? So make sure you buy food which is most natural, and food has to be it has to have kind of a proportionate in terms of fat, protein, and carbohydrate. I encourage patients that your carbohydrate should come from fruits, nuts, vegetables, and honey.
So yeah, and let me get involved a little bit. So Dr. Dr. Jaligam, you are a teacher, mentor, guru, doctor in extraordinary cardiologist. You are a great mentor. That's a really we need doctors like you more and more in this world. I think that solves a lot of chronic problems. Actually, you mentioned quantum physics. I'm going to talk about. I'm a physicist, so I'm going to talk about quantum physics when I get back. We'll ask you where is your jagguhealth.com and your website and where they can reach you. And also Nazim, you can put your website in the edit your, and I'm going to put both of your, there's 3 dots there next to your name. If you put that, you can put the website there actually. There you can do that. While I'm bringing that, let me bring the I'm going to bring a presentation. Yesterday I did that little bit. Nazim, you were there, but change a little bit. It's I want to make it more clear concept about that. Okay, so we are going to sit down and watch 3 together. That Dr. Vijay Jaligam is a cardiologist. He is really available everywhere. We need to follow his mantra, his teachings. The very few cardiologists really. Everybody wants to prescribe. He's the one who is teaching the basic stuff. That how do you change the lifestyle and a regimented process? How do you do that? I think we have to learn. I'm following him. I take vitamin D. I take the ghee. So he changing my lifestyle. I'm going to talk about a very interesting subject. Is a connection between the mind and the gut. He was talking about. Let us talk about that a little bit. Not exactly the same one, but it's a it is a yeah. So yeah, that one of the things that natural foods. He said that Dr. Jaligam, Yavisana is from Iran, from where Nazim is from. Actually, he was using a calcium channel blocker. Is one of the U tree as a he was using in 900 AD. 900 years. Oh my God, 2,000 years ago, he was using this kind of medicines. The English yew tree as a calcium channel blocker. Aristotle, Chris Langton is a computer scientist. He's talking about artificial life. Stout Kaufman explained what is a life is. This is here is what I'm going to talk about is what is intelligence. Everybody, I'm in Silicon Valley. It's a morning to evening. Everybody talks about intelligence here. What is that intelligence means? So there are 3 kinds of intelligence. That's a very interesting. Human intelligence is a very different than animal intelligence. Is a kind of there is a commonality there. I will explain to you what this common thing: artificial intelligence, machine intelligence. There's 3 of them. There's a black box. Is something everybody is talking about. I'm going to explain what that is a common with all of them. That is going to be. So it's a very 15 minutes. If you see the show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in that show, if there is a contestant have 3 choices, take 2 choices away or ask an expert, ask an audience. Which one is the most turned out to be correct one? 91% of the times, ask audience. But if you go and ask any individual audience, they don't even know the president of the United States. But they gave who went to the second time space. That's an amazing. What that crowd wisdom comes out of when they get together, some kind of intelligence pops out. That is a very strange phenomenon. It is a scientific phenomena. Even in the jury duty, a lot of people, these people are really, when you meet them on the street, you get scared. These are the people who makes a decision for your life and death. But when they did the studies, all these jury duty people, the new studies done in the Kalkan and Jaisal study and the National Center for State Courts, they said that their judgment is so close to the very sophisticated judges' judgments. So this is the wisdom of the crowd. For example, one more thing is the experts, others wrote, these are British experts, right? The Britannica, that is written by, they sit down, the experts, they started writing about the world, right? That is everybody, Encyclopedia Britannica, we used to use it when I was a kid. But Wikipedia really beat them to the pulp. Who wrote the Wikipedia? Bunch of common people that you don't even know. So bunch of common people who wrote that became a crowd intelligence, became a powerful unit. A wisdom of the crowd is called. Wisdom of the crowd is such a powerful, it is a physics, it is a science. That is what I'm going to explain to you, how powerful the wisdom of the crowd is. Wisdom of the crowd is truth images, bunch of simple people. They don't have any degrees, they don't have a understanding of a lot of worldly things, but they come up with a complex decisions. They make a complex decisions, they come up with answers. That is a mystery in science. It's a true mystery in science. It is called, I tell you what that name, it has a name in science. It is called, so before I give that name to you, animals have intelligence. That's intelligence is very different. For example, ants, the lowest form of their neurons, you can count them with the hand, that many, there are a lot of them, but bunch of ants together build a complex colony. They build colonies. And then, they look for the food. The way they look for the food, the phenome trial, you need to read about that. That optimization algorithm, actually Amazon and other people, they use for the vehicle routing purpose. That we are learning from the ants. So bunch of ants together come back with one of the most complex behavior. It is very strange phenomena that how you come back with that one. Then flock of birds come, for example, the birds you do, and then they behave in the sky, bunch of together, they don't collide each other. Bunch of thousands of birds, they together, they do a strange dance there. There is something in between. There is something, what it does is, that is called, it is that universe has intelligence. For example, bunch of electrons, if you put in the super cool state, near the absolute temperature, they can lift up the train, maglev trains, the magnetic lift they can train. This is a very strange phenomena. This cannot be explained by science. They know how they do it, but they cannot know why, how they do it. Something is missing. Human brain, consciousness, bunch of neurons firing signals. They only fire signals. That's all they do. But we have a love, we have a hate, we have a liking. All these emerges from the complex behavior from the human brain. So this is called hard problem of consciousness. The name in science, that is called emergence. As simple rules, simple objects, input is known, output is known, complex behavior comes out. That is emergence is in between. That is called emergence. That's a mysterious phenomenon in nature. It is the strong emergence they call, particularly these kind of things. We don't know how they do that. You cannot, by looking at the complex behavior, by looking at the ants, that the colony, you cannot tell these ants build that. You cannot detect it. If you tell me how they did that, you don't know. If you just give you the train, how the electrons, bunch of electrons I give to you and say, tell me how the train, they have to see the train, and they went backwards in experiment. So there is no way that is a black box. That is called a black box. Emergence is a black box in this one. I tell you that emergence is, so black box is now we call that black box actually. Black box is a nature's mystery. It is not somebody thinking that IT guys did that. No. There is nothing is there. This is a nature's embedded mystery to us. It is, you cannot find out. There's no laws can explain that, the emergence. It's a big challenge for physics people. The scientific people is a big challenge. It's a computational problem also. So simple, a black box is a system whose internal workings are unknown, but whose input and output are observable. You know the input, you know the output, but we don't know how they came out. But who shows that kind of thing? ChatGPT is showing that astonishingly that intelligence is showing. It takes a bunch of data and then showing the human-like behavior. It's writing like a human. It is behaving that because that emergency is coming out. So it's first time we are realizing that a computer machine has the intelligence. It is coming out with this kind of emergence property there. It is the truly emergent property coming out of the ChatGPT. That's called astonishingly smart. That is where challenges are ahead. That's a new intelligence. That is a black box, self-supervised learning, for example. That's a learning by itself. That is an emergence. That is called emergence. We do not know how it does it. That is a mystery right there. So those are no laws that we can tell. There is another doctor, Stuart Kaufman, still alive. He's 1939. He was born. He talked about a little bit about this. He said that universe has a property called self-organization. That is a Santa Fe Institute, is an institute where they tackle bigger questions. He's a polymath. He's a physics professor. He teaches engineering, and he is a Stuart Kaufman. Is a medical doctor. He graduated from San Francisco here. Life is an emergent property. He talks about life is emergent property. Suppose you take a tea, you put a black tea, and you put the milk inside. The milk before it becomes the completely same color. That change, while it is changing, that change he calls it life. So the movements of that life, that is entropy, is the edge of chaos, is order between the order and the disorder. Evolution is a slow and steady. That's why we have the gain of function. There's a kind of things we do. Basically life is itself is emergent property. There's a mystery that's a property of the universe. Self-organization is a property of the universe. That's what he says. But there is a problem. What he says, there is a problem with the computation side. Computers have a problem. It is called irreducible computational complexity. Stephen Wolfram is one of the top mathematicians, a very well-respected mathematician. He says that you cannot reduce LLMs. You cannot compute until the outcome is there. You cannot tell. You don't know what his outcome is going to be. So you take a protein and then you try to do something there. The emergent could be good or bad. That's what happened in the gain of function in the COVID-19. They were mutating they don't know what it comes out. They want to see mutate all the viruses and then see which one comes out in the lab, Wuhan lab. That's a gain of function. That's a really ridiculous why you are giving to other countries that giving the manufacturing the viruses, but that's a different issue. So Stephen Wolfram says that until you finish that computation, you don't know what the outcome is. So you don't unfortunately, but there is a problem, right? Evolution takes time. Evolution has a long years. We can produce a vaccine. We can take time. 7 million people died, but we come back and we found out the solution for it. But AI works in the light speed. One of the negative things about AI is that speed of flight it works. It can produce a deadly virus and kills humanities. So you must have a lot of guardrails, a lot of things that we need to watch what that outcome is going to be. As somebody in a crazy guy sitting in the garage and wanted to produce a deadly virus, it's possible because he doesn't know even producing it until it's done. Once it's done, he can catch. That is over. So that is a challenge with the black box. That is an emergent property. So emergence is a concept that is in physics that is embedded, but artificial intelligence is a very impressive tool. It analyzes medical images. You take you can take a mammograms from all these years. He can predict the future, the entropy. So use the entropy algorithm. It can say how fast is that the breast cancer is going to spread. Assist with the diagnosis, doctor. Manage patient records. Of course, that's already doing that. Scheduling appointments. Scheduling is not easy. Actually, if you see, I talk about one day, I'm going to talk about scheduling is one of the most complexity of the highest order. The numbers that come out of the scheduling is just out of your brain. Humans cannot fathom this. All those things the AI can do or more with the quantum computers. Now, Jan LeCun says he's a chief meta officer. He's a brilliant guy. He's the one who started this AI lectures. What he says is the professor of computer science. He says the real world mapping. The computers have a problem. What he's talking about is computers have a problem that robots cannot understand the real world. Still, it may take some time. They will eventually find the real world mapping. He was a Turing Award winner. He's very well respected. Another problem they have is that is a very technical problem. If they give an image and you corrupt it and then ask the AI to build it back, it doesn't know how to do that. It can do the language. That's why a large language model, but pictures, it is having a lot of problems there. It may eventually. So these are some of the challenges that create the world. That's why autonomous cars are real world. You have to understand the real world to drive. So these are the things that there. But if you want to create in nature, you have to, as Dr. Jaligam was saying, that you have to tune with the nature. There's no other expected. There's no shortcut. There's no LLMs. There's nothing they'll say. You have to tune with the nature. You have to listen to the nature and listen to the gurus like Dr. Jaligam. That the wisdom. That's the only way can save humanity and our health. So I think the sages. That's why we're the sages like Dr. Jaligam. We needed them because 3 stages of philosophy. We needed the platform that I wanted to build is 3 stages. One, you build a philosophy of the care. Nobody should, I wanted to treat this diabetes. I wanted, these are the, nobody should suffer. Nobody should be on the quality of life has to be good. These are the philosophy of care. Methodology is an algorithm, mathematical algorithms. You can put the mathematics, you can write it down, and then technology is the platforms. You have to be in that order. You don't start with the technology first, and then that's what they're doing in Silicon Valley. They mess it up, all the reversal process, and then they end up in something, they sell it, and then becomes a costly, and we are going nowhere. That is what the problem is now. Thank you for watching. Let me bring back my gurus and my friend, and let me talk about that a little bit. So Dr. Jaligam, what do you think is emergent property that I'm trying to explain?
When you're talking, I'm trying to connect that with the human body, and we have gut cells, we have brain cells, we have stem cells, how everything gets organized, and I'm trying to connect the dots of the cell, like how people give medication for everything you have versus naturally to let the body repair itself if you give the right ambience, right milieu. What you're talking, I was trying to connect microscopically and macroscopically with the universe of your quantum physics. I think quantum physics and theory of relativity, everything is stuck in the universe, but I see it internally too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful connection of what you just talked, and I was able to align my thoughts with that. Even the emergence, right? I mean, the emergence happens even in the body when you have an infection or when you're taking medications and when you're on a wrong diet versus good diet. So beautiful concept, Ramana.
I changed your website. I gave you a website, jagguhealth.com, right? Did I say that right there, Dr.?
Yes, jagguhealth.com.
Yeah, they can reach you or vjaligam@gmail.com, right? vjaligam@gmail.com or
No, Jaligam at jagguhealth.com.
jagguhealth.com. Okay. So anyway, they can reach through the website jagguhealth.com. Yeah, he is he speaks Telugu, Hindi, he is a Punjabi, he can speak everything, and he speaks fluent English, of course. And he is a true doctor and a teacher. We need that kind of, the physician's job is nowadays is a mentor, teacher, coach, life coach. He has to be all of them same time. Otherwise, you just it's a new kind of a definition of a physician, in my view. So they're all going to be that role. If they take it, they're saving the health of their patients. So Nazim, do you have any comments?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Jaligam, and and also I'm still thinking about my question. I want Dr. Jaligam to tell me his definition of greatness, if possible.
Definition of greatness? My definition of greatness is being humble.
Awesome. That's great. That was so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why people come and get attracted to the humble people in general. That's why he became a great friend and a mentor for me. Even I study quantum physics, but that is what he learns from the wisdom of the brain, the wisdom of the sages. You cannot get from anywhere in the physics also. You have to get it from the wisdom of the sage. Okay. Dr. Jaligam, it's truly an honor to talk with you. Give you your final words. Say something and the final thing. What do you want to say? So just for all of us.
That's. Thank you for letting me close that. Life is beautiful. World is wonderful. It's the lens what you use to look at it, to feel either your cup is half full or half empty. The day you feel the cup is half full, you're the happiest man.
Thank you so much. That's the greatest wisdom. You want to hang around and talk with him, and just like after the broadcast, you can stay same as there. Thank you all. Good night, and then good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.